Edward I did not have many years to enjoy his final triumph over Wallace. He died in 1307 and his son Edward became King of England. Compared to his father, Edward II was not considered a strong monarch. He preferred to spend time with his best friends and struggled to make hard decisions. In Scotland, Robert the Bruce was now head of the family and began to push his strong claim to the Scottish throne. However, even 10 years later, there were still some who supported John Balliol's claim. Among them was John Comyn, nephew to Balliol and a long-time rival of the Bruce family. There were periods of uneasy peace between Comyn and Bruce, but these would not last. In early 1306, Comyn and Bruce met in the chapel of Greyfriars Monastery, Dumfries. The two men argued. This fight led to Bruce and his men murdering Comyn at the altar. For his actions, Bruce was excommunicated by the Pope in Rome. Medieval people were deeply religious, and being cut off from your church was difficult. Bruce continued to drive for the independence of Scotland. He was crowned King of Scots at Scone on the 25th of March 1306. Immediately after these events, Edward I once again ordered an invasion of Scotland. It was on this campaign in 1307 that Edward I died. Edward II was expected to continue his father's work, especially as Bruce spent the next few years seizing control of several important locations in Scotland. Bruce also carried out a series of successful raids across the border into northern England. The early years of Bruce's reign were not easy. He was regularly challenged. But by 1314, most English-controlled castles in Scotland were back in Scottish hands. It was in this year that Edward II assembled a large army and marched north to prevent King Robert taking Stirling Castle. The two sides met on the 23rd of June 1314 when the English army attempted to march across the high ground of the Bannockburn. A series of skirmishes broke out among the surrounding marshland, with the English eventually suffering heavy losses. Just as Wallace had been victorious at Stirling Bridge, Robert the Bruce was victorious at Bannockburn. The defeat was a disaster for Edward II, and he would never be able to repeat his father's successes. The Declaration of Arbroath in 1320 demanded Edward no longer claim lordship over the Scottish crown. Peace was officially declared between the two kingdoms in 1328 with the Treaty of Edinburgh-Northampton. In the same year, the Pope lifted Bruce's excommunication. Robert the Bruce died in 1329, knowing he had completed the work started by William Wallace and Andrew de Murray. Scotland was free from English control, confirming its status as an independent kingdom. Wallace's influence would continue far beyond the 14th century. Find out how next week. But first, let's find out what you remember about Robert the Bruce.